So happy Tip Talk Sunday. It is Sunday, February the 16th, 2020. And today we are continuing our conversation on Tip Talk's love. We are making sure everyone is set up with both social media platforms. We're going to turn down the music just a little bit so that y'all can hear. Because I'm not sure if you can hear me, but we'll turn down the music just a little bit and we will get everything going. I'm on set by myself just for a few minutes, but our guests are here and they are coming in. We'll give them a chance to do that. Make sure that as you guys are coming in, you are dropping the city that you are from, along with any community engagement that you want us to shout out. So I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that come in. If you have any community engagement that you want us to shout out or community outreach that you want us to shout out, make sure that you are dropping that information in the comment section along with your name and the city that you're from, and we will be sure to shout those things out. I did kind of change up the music a little bit today. Normally I listen to Beyonce before we go live because, you know, Beyonce is like my empowerment type music. But I changed it up a little bit to Jasmine Sullivan, which I am so beloved of. And I've been listening to my music for maybe about an hour or so, and it's a really good jam. So if you guys, I'm sure if you're on Pandora, make sure that you listen to Jasmine Sullivan Pandora station. It's awesome. All right. So it is right at 4 o'clock. We will begin our discussion right at 4:03. We're going to go ahead and have our guests to start trickling in, and make sure that we have both platforms that are going live for you guys to have the live stream. Remember, for those of you that are on Facebook, unfortunately, I cannot see who you are. I can only see that you are here. So make sure that you're dropping your name, where you're from, any community engagement or outreach that you want us to shout out. Make sure that you include that also. All right, come on, welcome. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry, I'm Shawn.
Hello.
It's okay. Hey,
I'm embarrassed.
how are you?
I thought I was coming in off air.
No, it's okay.
I thought I was coming in off air. You get close.
No.
I'm gonna sit over here.
Why you gotta sit over there?
I'm good. Lord have mercy.
Don't be like that.
So we live?
We are live.
All right.
I want to be live too.
Yeah.
So we will come in a little bit, Kim. So we will start the discussion right at 5:03. I'm sorry, 4:03. You just gonna sit on my hip like that?
You better move. We got a bunch of hip right here.
I'm just saying. I'll just my whole hip. Jesus.
I'm not professional.
Oh my God. So y'all see, our guest has joined us. For those of you that are new to this platform, my name is Tiffany. I am a social worker by trade and community activist at heart, and this platform was created in order for us to just tackle all the taboos that we're talking about amongst our peer group, over happy hour, at the office, in the break room, with our family, just to kind of just bring more awareness and education. So this is Tiff Talks. And today we are going to be continuing our conversation on Tip Talk's love. Last week, February the 9th, we talked about Tip Talk's selfish love and just all about self-love and making sure that we're learning how to make sure that we keep our cup filled. And if you did not tune into the episode, you missed out on the treat because it was awesome. It is still on Facebook for those of you that are linked to our Facebook page, so you can go back and watch it. And for those of you that tuned in, all 151 of y'all, I want to thank you because it was awesome. So today we are here to talk Tip Talks love and marriage. And though I allude allude to my marriage a lot on this platform. We have never talked marriage.
Okay.
And I am nervous.
Oh,
I am super nervous. I am super nervous. I am super nervous because there are a lot of taboos as it relates to marriage. And of course we have to tackle them. But to like showcase marriage is just different. So I'm nervous, but we're gonna see how this goes. And y'all pray with us. So today we have with us our very special guests, and I'm so happy that they've come to join us. My and my husband's marriage mentors, Pastor Dre and Shawn Burgs, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes.
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 And we have my mister here, for those of you who aren't aware. We have Mr. Kenneth Parker. He is here, and he's going to give his perspective on marriage, and we're going to share in the dialogue with our marriage mentors.
Yes.
So
I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we had to tune up anyway.
It has
It's time to tune this thing up.
It has been. It has been.
Yes.
So we will allow them to introduce themselves, and then we'll allow Ken to introduce himself however they will like.
Oh,
I
okay.
can start.
No, I'll let you start.
Well, how y'all doing? I'm Mr. Parker. I am
Mr.
the
Parker.
host,
I like that.
host of the show, husband, and yeah, I'm him. The one that you talk about, that's me.
I am he.
I am he.
I am
He
here.
is
And
I.
he is me.
You guys?
All right. Well, certainly. I am Shawn Burgs, a longtime friend. I'd rather say family. We've become family over the years. Technically, I guess most people address me as Shawn or Pastor Shawn of Movement Church. And in correlation to this relationship, yes, we are marriage mentors. We have been riding along with this marriage since the beginning.
Yes, Jesus.
Since the beginning.
We're still here for the journey, enjoying it, loving it, through all the laughs and the cries and the happy times.
Yeah.
That's me.
And I am Dre Burgs, aka Dre Moves on Facebook and Instagram. She's Shawn Moves on Facebook and Instagram. Shameless plug.
Shameless.
But nevertheless, yes, we are here to discuss marriage and marriage mentorship and Tiff Talks Loves, and we are excited. I've known both of them for a long time. Actually, known Tiffany all of her life, I believe. Yeah, just all of her life. So we are excited to engage and to have this dialogue and discourse over this hot subject and topic,
So
this
let's get to
culturally
it.
relevant
Yes,
Topic.
culturally irrelevant.
of marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to jump right into it. So for me, I never really saw marriage kind of growing up. My mom and dad, they separated kind of very early on. And although they were awesome co-parents, I didn't see marriage outside of like on TV or like at church. So I kind of want to get the feel of if you guys saw marriage growing up.
Me? Yeah, on TV. I mean, everybody want to be like the Huxtables. So, Huxtables, Family Matters, family shows that had a family. Their main thing was family and the troubles and the ups and downs of being a family. So, but they all did it together. I always wanted to keep my family connected and have that bond to where whatever it's a good time or bad time, you still come as a family and go through it together.
Right.
So, that's my big thing.
So yeah, I definitely grew up seeing marriage in the home. My mother and father were married until his death about 6-7 years ago, and they were married a total of, I believe, 25 years. So I had a picture of what marriage should look like, and it started in my home.
So, 8 years ago, and they were married for 35 years. Give your mama and your daddy that credit. Amen.
No, was it 35?
You were 35 were born one
Yeah,
year
yeah,
after.
yeah.
Thank you very much. You see, I have to check.
Shaved.
Yes,
I shaved
yes.
a little time off.
So I too saw marriage in the household. I had a very unique dynamic, but I saw marriage in the household, and because I saw marriage in the household, I understood that marriage really was about sacrifice, and it was about like a fidelity and a faithfulness to God first and foremost, more so than anything.
Yeah.
And like it's ironic that we actually started a sermon series on the book of Hosea, which is Hosea and Gomer, and God tells Hosea to go and marry a prostitute, a harlot, but it was to really show the imagery of God's faithfulness to the harlotry of Israel. And so, like man, I really no, I'm not saying I married a harlot. I'm saying that like the dynamic for me was so unique, and what I grew up seeing, like marriage, like based off of sacrifice. You understand what I'm saying? Like marriage for me, and the construct of marriage for me, seeing it growing up, it wasn't because of it wasn't a Huxtable situation. It was because it was real life.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times we like to adorn the Huxtables, but that ain't real.
Yeah.
Like when y'all got married, it wasn't Huxtable-ish.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't Huxtable-ish. It was more good times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when we got married, it was more good times. It wasn't the Jeffersons. We hadn't moved on up. We wasn't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There was some struggle. It was some hard times.
Right.
It was some frustration. I mean, the first year for us. I ain't talking about y'all. I'm not gonna put y'all business out. I'm putting my business out. But for us, it was hard. I mean, we were laughing last night. I was spending some time with my niece, and she was just laughing at some of the arguments that she heard Shawn and I like have in the first year. She was like, "Girl, I remember that broke toe you had." You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute.
But it's because of arguments. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because of arguments. Like, she remembered things that I had done. You know, stuff that I had done. Things that I had thrown out of the car window. You understand what I'm saying? In anger. In frustration.
If I could jump in, I like the fact that you chose a word to identify with your imagery of marriage growing up.
Okay, what was that?
I missed it. You missed the word that you chose?
Yeah, I just be talking sometimes.
Sacrifice.
It was sacrifice.
Thank you. That's why you are who you are.
Sacrifice.
It was sacrifice. And if I were to, the first word that comes to mind, I won't say if I were to attach a word, but the first word that comes to mind is duty. You know, I pictured my mother oftentimes, as we were married, I pictured myself being the role of my mother. And my mother was dutiful. She was always doing something to support my father.
Right.
She maintained a full-time job, and then she therefore also supported the family. And so a lot of my identity came from who I saw her be as a wife and mother. And I think that's really natural for us as human beings. Like, we typically have imagery, whether it be from television, whether it be from friends' parents. You know, I even watched other people's parents and said, you know, I wish my family were like theirs. Or, you know, I really like how this family unit is working. Or why don't they do things my way? We create ideas in our mind about what marriage is supposed to be like based on what we've seen.
Right. For me, because my views of marriage were so limited and not necessarily wasn't anything that I can touch so often or see so often. Like you said, I had this idea of what I thought marriage was. And of course, because it was an idea, that's what I sought out. So I always knew as a young child that I wanted to have a marriage. I wanted to have what I seen on TV. But in reality, like you said, it wasn't on TV. It wasn't the TV, because I think a lot of people get confused with this ideal of marriage being perfection or the ideal of perfection. But when it comes down to it, you create your own ideal of perfection.
Or that marriage creates that perfection.
Right.
Because some people don't feel like they are complete until they are married. So it's like the idea of marriage makes me complete or perfect. like perfect. Like I'm now perfect. No, I'm not necessarily perfect in essence, but like my life is now perfect.
Right,
I have the house, I have the car, I have the good job. It's the checkoff list. It's like everything is perfect now. I'm married. I'm getting ready to have kids. I got this. I got that.
Right.
And it's all about
until you get married and have kids.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about that.
Until you get married and have kids.
Don't even repeat that again. That ain't the subject.
To transition to kind of what the misconceptions are, we kind of touched on that with this whole idea of it being perfection, or this whole idea of people creating this reality or their own reality of perfection. What have you guys kind of seen as the biggest misconceptions as it comes to marriage?
Oh, that the arguments are worth. So if nobody expects marriage to be perfect. I think when people get married, they identify clearly, right, that we're humans, we're two different people connecting in a lifetime union. There are going to be some challenges. The misperception is that they expect that they can handle whatever the challenge is. And so I can deal with whatever it is. Just let me get to the altar, let us get married, and then the rest, we can make it through.
They think that nuptials heal imperfections going into it. So it's like he is who he is now, and you think that because he says I do, things will be different later. Because she is who she is now, because she says I do, you think things are going to be different later.
Right.
So the misperception is that they will change once. No, they don't happen.
Or
like
that the vows solidify the ability to make it through something. And the vows don't really do that. In fact, what we found is, contrary to the misperception, typically what happens is you begin to question whether or not you actually made the right decision, if the issue is heavy enough. Right? And if we were all really real with ourselves, we come to this arrival, like in our psyche, where we are wrestling with if the decision was the right decision, because now it's no longer the vow that's keeping us together, or actually it is the vow that's keeping us together, but that commitment to the vow is being challenged. It's being what's the word I'm looking for? It's being tested. Yeah, it's being tested. And so that's a big one that we typically see. I can deal with it, but then when they get into it, they realize, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. Right, this is not what I signed up for. I can't tell you how many times we hear that. I did not sign up for this, but really you did.
I remember so vividly in our premarital counseling when Dre would always say, the man that he is today is going to be the man that he is tomorrow, and 2 years from now, 3 years now. And he would always say, the man that you're marrying, that's the man that he's going to be. So you have to accept that. And it was like, what? I don't want to accept that. He going to change. Things going to happen. And no, he...
So y'all been married now 7 years?
7 years.
Has he changed?
No. No. I mean,
and that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
But to know him is to love him.
Exactly.
And to love him is to know him. And a lot of times we want to fall in love and not know who that person is. But you know who he is really, and that's really the reason why you love him.
Right.
But we want to try and shift and change and manipulate him into being the perfect version of Ken for me. And Ken needs to be the perfect version of Ken for God first. And then he could be the perfect version of Ken for you. That's why I say, don't think Ken gonna change. If Ken ain't gonna change for him, he ain't gonna change for you.
It's been hard, y'all. So I think it's worth to kind of share a little bit of Ken and I's love story. So a lot of you may know Ken and I met when we were in middle school. And we were literally in the same homeroom up until senior year. Wow. So we've known each other for a very, very long time. But there wasn't an intimate relationship until after I had gotten out of a really bad relationship, and he experienced some trauma in his life with his family. And I feel that we were just there for each other, and we really showed our true vulnerability to each other, and that we just kind of blossomed from there. And although we really kind of kept our relationship or intimacy kind of on the low, I think we did. You don't think so?
He's like, everybody knew.
They had They had an idea because everybody always would put us together, regardless of, because I mean we were together, but not in that way, if that makes sense. And our relationship truly kind of came out over a game of what is
a game of shots?
A game of shots.
Yeah, we were drinking.
There was a lot of tequila involved, and it just, I think we were both intoxicated. We was like, okay, we together. That's just it. But I think it got to the point where it was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, that's really how it was.
It was a tequila I do.
It was a tequila I do. And it kind of just got to the point where I didn't want him to be with anybody else, and he didn't want me to be with anybody else. And then when it came down to marriage, we had talked about marriage, but we never like discussed it and like, this is what we want to do together. And then when we kind of started talking together, I was like, I'm calling Dre. I know, you know, we ain't in church, but we gonna call because we need to talk to somebody to see if this is what we really want to do. And we did premarital counseling, and in that we decided that we wanted to marry. And we got married long before our actual wedding date. And he picks on me all the time because I can never remember our wedding date. I always get the dates confused. But I know our marriage date, and I think that's what holds the most value. So we married.
You about to cry?
I'm not about to cry.
I thought she was about to cry. Y'all know she'll cry.
I will cry.
Y'all know she'll cry.
I will cry, but I do not plan on crying today.
All right.
So we married December the 29th, 2012. And we had our wedding March
21st.
March 21st. 2014. I can't remember. It's too many dates. It's too many. So anyway, that was kind of like our love story. And when we had our wedding, we really kind of realized how much of a job it was, and how much we had put on for so many people and so many things. And a big misconception that we had was this idea of submission. And I know you was like all in my neck on submission because it was very difficult for me to understand this idea of submission, but with him as well, because it was kind of like submit what, submit when, submit how. I mean, we had a lot of back and forth when it comes to that word and the ideal thereof. And it really just kind of got to the point where I remember Pastor Drake saying, like, you have to give her something to submit to, and then it will make it easier for her to submit. And I always remember the analogy that you gave us in regards to Ken always being the head and myself as being the neck, and how neither one of us can function without each other. So that is how we've learned this ideal of submission, and how we have just coexist for so long, for 7 years. Has it been perfect? Absolutely not.
No.
We've had some hardships, and I mean, one of our biggest hardships, I think, was like people's ideal of our marriage, or people kind of chiming in on our marriage, and it put us at odds with people, but it also put us at odds with each other. Because
why is that?
Well, people would always have this idea that I was like the puppet master when it came to Ken. Like, if I said something to Ken would just do it. But they didn't know when we got in that car or when we got home, Ken was talking outside. I mean, he
outside his neck.
He was talking outside his neck. And I'm like, why you ain't show this to these people in here so they can see that I'm not the dominant man. I've never been the dominant man in our relationship. It's been him. He's quiet.
He a quiet stalker.
He a quiet one.
Yeah.
But he will go off if you push him.
Yeah.
He'll go there. And they didn't see that push, so people would always think I was this puppet master and that I called the shots.
I get accused of that as well. But she the quiet one. Yeah, she's the one that'll tear up the club. Well, first of all y'all went to Madison. So all y'all went to Madison.
Hey,
that's the problem, right? All y'all disruptive.
Let me just throw out a disclaimer.
See, I'm from Fort Bend. I'm from Fort Bend.
This is what
they went to
makes,
Madison.
I believe, our times together as genuine and as authentic as they are.
Right.
Which is this. There's no shame in my game. Right? I will cut up. I will cut clean up. Right? The reality is, this is life. When you get into it, especially once you're married, the real part about you is what shows up. Because when you're married, it's no holds barred now.
Right.
And the reality is that you're thinking this is the rest of my life that I'm going to have to deal with you. You're going to know me now, and you're going to know the real me right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to know the real me right now. And I definitely can see how other people's perceptions of your profiles, right? Let's call it marriage profiles.
Yeah.
Other people's perceptions of those profiles can lend pressure to the relationship, because what's actually happening in the home and what they've translated from how you all interact in public are two totally different things.
Yep.
And I think that's also one of the reasons why our world of technology creates even more of that tension.
Yep.
Because we want everyone to see a certain imagery of us, right, as a couple, as individuals, in our careers, in our professions. And that's what we give them permission to see in our social media.
Yeah.
Then when they come to meet us or know us, they gain a new or even
a deeper perspective and
more
understanding.
informed perspective of your personality profiles. All those P's just kind of messed me up for a minute. However, there is a much deeper, realer reality that you are dealing with as a couple inside the home. And those external influences can create major barriers in the marriage.
Yeah.
We dealt with them with family. We dealt with them with friends. We have always been the sheltering couple. So we've always had someone or somebody that we've been helping in our marriage. We came home from the honeymoon and we had people living in the house with us because somebody needed a place to stay, right? And our hearts were genuinely compassionate towards helping other people, maybe even to a flaw, because we were willing so desperately to lend ourselves as a couple, to lend ourselves to other people, that we didn't always service our marriage.
That's big.
That's big.
That's really big.
That's really
but watch
big.
this. It goes back to your first question. I saw my daddy do it. Y'all know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is like it's real talk. That's all I saw my daddy do. I mean, we can go down the laundry list of people and we can name the names. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? From the crackheads in the neighborhood to Bruce and so, I mean, that's ultimately what we ended up kind of perpetuating. Yeah. Because that's what we saw. We saw our parents as leaders and pastors, like, be there for people. So our marriage kind of began to be shaped as the same thing, being there for people. Our home has been a place of refuge for people, but that's what we saw.
So do I have the right to shift directions in the misnomers that are out there about marriage?
Yeah, let me.
What's the next one?
Chime in on a couple people that has joined.
Wonderful.
Do some shout outs first, and then we will shift to the
Shoot
next.
them out.
So I see loving _life OO has joined. Thank you for joining. I see innovative BA. Hey Andrea, nice to see you. I see one of our movement, one of the movement partners have come in. A Simply Fab mom has joined. I see Heaven has joined. Hey Heaven. I see Renan. Hey Renan has joined. I see Kinshay has joined. I see Jerry, one of our fellow podcasters, have joined. I see Shawn Ray Anthony has joined. I see Raquel. Hey Raquel. I see my sister Tasha has joined. Hey Tasha.
Hey, Tasha.
I see
Hey Raquel.
Larry
What's
has
up,
joined.
what's up?
I see Kelly has joined. I see. Oh, let me see.
Hey y'all. Hey.
Delana Alpha.
Delana Alpha.
Hey.
Delana Alpha.
What's up, fam? Hey, fam.
I see The Selfish Single has joined. Hey, Heather. I see Polo Jordan has joined. I see, and that's it. So, for those of you that are just coming in, I am Tiffany. I am a social worker by trade, and we are here talking love and marriage, the reality, the perception and the reality, with our talker guests today, Pastor Shawn and Dre Burgs, along with my Mr. Kenneth Parker here as well. I forgot to mention that we have two. My camera people is prompting me. We have two giveaways today. So the first giveaway is the person who hashtags Tiff Talks. I'm sorry, the first person that hashtag Keep Talking Marriage. in the comment section will win a Tiff Talk gift certificate, along with the person that is able to recall and comment in the comment section below Ken and I marriage date, not the wedding date, the marriage date. And we just dropped it a few minutes ago. In the comment section, and you have to use Keep Talking Love and Marriage. So the hashtag for the first giveaway is Keep Talking Marriage, and the second giveaway hashtag is Keep Talking Love and Marriage. You drop that in the comment section and you will be our giveaway winners today. So we're gonna shift the topic a little bit, and you were gonna share.
Did you have one that you specifically wanted to go to?
One was, as opposed to kind of the misconceptions, what are the things that you guys have learned through marriage, and what are you still learning through marriage?
Ooh. Okay, you want that one?
Yeah, I've learned a whole lot. First, I've learned that like being a husband requires constant learning of her. Yes. Because she has evolved over the last 14, 15 years. She will continually evolve. And so she is a life study. I have to continuously study her actions, her highs, her lows, her attitudes, her disposition, when she, when she want it, when she don't. I mean, it's like literally, you have to study her constantly. She's a study. It's scripture. And so, that's one thing that I've learned, and again, that's the one thing that I'm still learning, because she is ever evolving, so I am constantly learning her.
So you will be forever learning.
Yeah, we're forever learning. Yeah.
A student of Shawn.
Yeah, a student of Shawn. Yeah. And because Shawn's changing. And Ken is a student of Tiffany. He has to learn you, and he has to continuously learn you over and over and over again, because you're going to evolve. You're not the same woman today that you were 7 years ago. Is she? No.
Not even close.
Not even close. She's evolved. And the other thing...
well, before you go there...
Go ahead. But you asked me if I wanted it.
I want to comment on that particular
okay, go ahead.
So, earlier you said, we talked about him not changing, right? He said, you've been married for 7 years now. Has he changed? And I love the fact that he used the word evolve, that I'm evolving. Because change, in the sense that we were talking about it earlier, is in terms of character. Who he is, how he thinks, right? He probably still takes the cup to his lip in the same way, right? He probably still has the same habits. I still leave my shoes at the front door when I walk in, and he still picks them up when he comes in behind me. This will never change. This is my character, right?
Never.
However, as an individual, I'm growing and evolving, not just into myself, but in Christ, right? And so who I am and how I respond to things academically.
Professionally, socially. There's always evolving. So it's like we don't want to be hyper spiritual. Even though we pastor and lead, like she's not just growing spiritually. Yeah. She's growing professionally and academically. And
this is true.
This is in a multitude of areas and ways. So that's what I'm saying, because you graduated a few years ago, and when y'all got married, you hadn't graduated yet. Yeah. See, now you are, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you have to evolve. She became something that she wasn't when y'all got married.
Yeah.
True.
And guess what? She's going to become something else that she isn't right now.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't, then that means she's no longer growing. And we all know movement is life.
Yes. Yeah, so I think that the word change, when we get married, we can't seek to change a person or expect that person will change just for our benefit. I think that's really the key here, because we all change. We all evolve, and we all grow. We all progress. Some of us even regress. Some of us do. We even regress. But I think it was important, more especially since you used the word change and evolve, to identify the difference in context in which we're talking here. Because,
that was awesome. That was phenomenal.
Because the beginning versus the duration are two totally different things. And the cause and the effect of the change. What you guys have gone through together has also changed you as a couple. Yeah. You don't look the way you did when you got married 7 years together as a couple.
He looking all thick and juicy over there, sexy and stuff. He picked up, about 15 or 20. I see you. I say, Tiff cooking good around here, huh?
All I do is eat.
Yes,
I will say the arguments evolve.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
how you
That's
deal
the
with them.
biggest thing.
They don't take you to the same place that they used to take you to.
Because I had to learn how to. The biggest thing with that was our biggest issue of how to argue.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the arguments how to argue, because you can argue ugly or you can argue, in a good way. I had to learn how to argue with her in a more sensible way.
Yeah.
Because it could get, or it can, stay mellow.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing with it.
Yeah, y'all would introduce Madison in them arguments real quick, and I'd have to remember that, that I was in the pastoral role and not come with you in the Madison argument. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah,
I think that's true. I agree with that. And that's not to say that as we have evolved, there haven't been some instances in our relationship where we have regressed.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I value about Ken and I is that before there was an intimacy, before there was a relationship, we were friends. So oftentimes the things that have carried us is the friendship. Like who I'ma call and talk, trash to? Who I'ma call and tell them about my day? Who's going to be there at the end of the day? And that's one thing that I've loved about us in our relationship. And as we have evolved, we've had some highs in our arguments and we've had some lows in our arguments. But the thing that I appreciate is that we've always kept that mutual respect to a certain extent for each other. We have been to a place where when we've had our lows, we can come back and say, you know what, I was wrong. And I'm sincerely apologizing. And in those times where we had no choice but to be bare and vulnerable and to really acknowledge our own wrongdoing and anticipate or plan for a better argument the next time, that's what has carried us. It's been those friendships. It's been that mutual respect for each other. And I think just kind of recently when you say evolving and our arguments evolving, I think one thing that just gets to me is that Ken is very good at walking away. And I'm like, no, this is what it is. And this is what it is. And that Madison come up out of it. It come up out of it. But one thing that I've had to learn to do is when we came back and he took the time to be vulnerable, I had to respect that that's him walking away because he needs that time to himself. And me doing that, me clapping it up, it's not healthy for us. So we've had to exchange some of those negative behaviors for more positive behaviors.
Wow.
And it's something that we have, increased in our own mutual respect for each other.
Man, I'm so proud of you guys. I definitely, did you lose your thought for the other thing, or are you holding on to it?
Huh?
There was another thing.
He lost it.
Huh?
He lost
that
it.
you were going to go to. He was like, and another thing.
Huh?
You forgot it. Okay.
Yeah, he forgot.
So, so I remember my thing of what I've learned. I've learned that the fairy tale relationship is self-constructed. So I saw Cinderella, I saw Princess and the Frog, I saw all of these television movie images of what romanticism would look like. And I believe I would characterize myself as a hopeless romantic. I love how he dates me, right? Dre was real slick with it. He learned like within the first 24 hours what my circadian rhythm was, so he knew when I would be hungry. So if we would be spending time together in the day, and I would begin to kind of like shut down or fade out, he'd say, "Oh, it's been 3 hours. It's time to eat it." He'd feed me, and it was just him being so aware. Even now, hindsight being 2020, hearing him say, "I had to learn her." If I really think back on the beginning, he's always been learning me. Like he's always been paying attention to who I am. Once we got married, more especially when life began to happen, children began to come, problems and trials and issues. I didn't really see necessarily that so much on the surface of our relationship. And so the romanticism really kind of took a new identity. Mm-hmm. And so we see, I learned that I couldn't accept this as a failure in the marriage. I had to identify it as a season and understand the terms of where we were in our marriage. Because sometimes, whether it be finances, whether it be work, whether it be friendships, spiritual things, there's always going to be something going on. And the shape of the relationship is going to look different, but it doesn't mean that I love him any less or he loves me any less. In fact, I actually had to tune in to see how he was loving me differently in that season.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, because it didn't look the same way it did when he was dating me. Right? He loved me different, right? The other day I came home from work and he reverted back to like the first year of our dating and snuck some cool stuff up on me, right? I mean, I got to the house, you know, dinner was all made, you know, kids all tucked in and stuff. I was just like, wait a minute, you know. And I'm immediately thinking, it really wasn't.
I am. I can't help it. I'm stupid. I really am.
It really wasn't that he had made dinner, although that was amazing.
Right.
It really, that wasn't what, like, you know, melted my heart.
Right.
It was the fact that he considered how I would feel
Yeah.
to have to come home and make dinner.
Right.
And so whether he had made it or whether he had bought it or any of that really didn't matter.
It was made.
It was made. And he introduced a new pasta to the house. You know, that's the Dre Special.
Okay.
That was really, really good.
But it really is not mine. I can't take credit for it. I brought back an old Willie Mae Burgs special.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the kids was like, "Where'd that come from?" I was like, "Your grandmother's recipe."
So I like that the definition of the romanticism. I've learned that it can't be defined by what I saw in other relationships. Because there was a time in our relationship when I felt like the romanticism wasn't there. And so I had to check in and see how he was in this new way or in that current season expressing his love for me, because I've always felt loved. I've always felt loved, but what it looked like would change depending on what was going on in our lives.
I like that.
I think we went through that. We used to do date night every Friday, and it kind of evolved to like family time every Friday. So it got from date night. So she always used to say like, "You don't date me no more. We don't do stuff no more." It's like, well, we kind of do more family stuff now. So you know, it's not just me. I'm not just not doing it. It's just we not doing it as much as we used to. So it got a big thing to well, it's not romantic no more and stuff like that. But like, no, it's kind of things change. It's we gotta find it, not find it, but find time for it. We gotta make time for that because it's family now. It's family night. Who don't eat? Who turn is to choose to eat? Right? Where we gonna go for the kids? Right. Who date is the? You know, it just changed. So you gotta get back to that, find it again, so she can. And I think we talked about that a couple times to where she realized it was family time and okay, let's do it on a Saturday morning. Let's go to breakfast. So we can try to find that time for each other and.
We do
like
some
that.
of the
and men mostly would miss that. Like we would always 9 times out of 10 miss, you know, date night turning into family night. We'd miss that, and that's simply because for us, you know,
y'all all a responsibility.
No, it's not even that. It's just, you know, because date night, you know, it's that time that is about us and, you know, as we would say, making love between the ears before you making love between the legs. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, like, for men, it's like we miss that. Like it doesn't matter because for us, it doesn't happen between the ears before it happens between the legs. But for them, it happens between the ears before it does between the legs. Right. So it's like, well, that date night, that time in the movies, that time discussing over dinner, you asking me how my week was, that's that time between the ears. And so it doesn't affect us. So I would miss it. And I continuously missed the family night and the track meets and the football practices and all that kind of. I'm like, man, shucks, we spending family time. Like this is this is family. But it's still different. And you gotta acknowledge, like, well, she still needs that time for self. And it could easily be missed.
I missed it big time.
Yeah, man, I missed it too. And they missed it too. Them dudes that's watching, they missed it too.
And
they
for
did.
the ladies that's watching, I just want to remind us to not visualize how our marriages should be based on what we've seen other people's marriages look like. Because, you know, I've seen a lot of women stargaze at couples and their vacations and their, you know, the steak dinners and this and that and the other. And you think because this is not happening that the romanticism isn't current or present in your marriage. I mean, we've had some of the weirdest dates ever, you know, and the happiest moments, just impromptu getting out and doing just anything that is not normal in the routine, and us doing it together, right? And there's this, I believe there's this quantifiable measure of the value of that relationship time that we have to define. Yeah. And we can't define it based on what the other chick is doing, because at the end of the day, she may be getting all of that and still be miserable.
Because a date should not be defined by $1.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we done had some, I'm Baptist, y'all, I can't help it. Dating should not be defined by $1. Like, I done had some good dates in Walmart walking around pushing the basket. Yeah. No, and I'm not talking about grocery shopping. I'm talking about she wanted to go get something, and I just jumped in the car to drive her.
It's the time.
And the time. And just to push the basket around. This is not grocery shopping. This is nothing that needs to be done for the house. Yeah. This was her wanting to go into Walmart or to Target or to the mall, and I just drive her. It's about being intentional to give the time. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think she said the other day, we just had our Walmart date. I think was that the other day? It was.
I posted a video, I want to say either yesterday or early part in the week, from the divorce court. And the judge was very clear in making sure that, and she was speaking directly to the wife, that in order for him to love you like you want him to love you, you have to define what that love looks like. And I can't expect Ken to love me like I want him to love me if I'm not clear in telling him how I want to be loved. And true enough, that has evolved over time, of course, with our whole tribe or pack, along with our own personal lives and our career. But what I've done or what we've done is really kind of make you, like you said, intentional. If it is us spending that family night on Friday here, us being able to say, okay, well, Saturday we're going to take some time and we're going to put the kids to bed early and we're going to watch a movie. Or we're going to go and have breakfast together. Just a couple of weeks ago, he had been saying he wanted to see the Bad Boys movie. And I heard him, and I didn't say nothing about it. I just let him keep talking. And then I called and was like, hey, what you doing tonight? Oh, nothing. Okay, well, I got us tickets. We going on a date. And I think so often I had gotten into a routine of looking for Ken to do and me not taking the initiative to do it, you know, to put it out there and to do it for him. And he made a comment. He was like, Tiffany, you always looking for the theatrics. And I was like, what? What do you mean by that? And he was like, you always want the big thing. It's about those small things. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I need to date him as much as I want him to date me.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh.
That's good. That's good.
Oh. That's so wonderful.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah.
No, that's good. You do need to
I mean, we're getting a chance to see
evolution.
Yeah, the evolution. I mean, that is such a big deal. That's such a big deal, for sure.
7 years ain't been easy.
It ain't been easy.
It hasn't been easy. We saw a lot. I saw. You have a question? Go ahead.
Oh, you got a question for us?
It just popped up because you said that, you know, the judge said on the television show that you have to teach him how to love you. My question would be, for you as well as, or for the wife as well as the husband or the wife, you know, what happens when you don't know how you want to be loved? This is why I'm saying to the husband, like, you need to do your research. Like, you have to study her, because you cannot just simply leave it up to her telling you, because sometimes she's still trying to figure it out herself. She's in a place that she doesn't even know she's in.
Right.
So, like, for me, it's like, if you're not constantly studying her, and you have to study her more than she even studies herself.
You have to be one step ahead at all times.
Yeah, because it's like now I can take it to because it's your job to baptize her in the word. Mm-hmm. It's your job to I don't want to be hyper spiritual, but you don't know all the stuff we done talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's your responsibility. So
at all times.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just my question.
So for me, I think it all goes back to the whole kind of self-love thing, and we talked about that in our first kind of part of Tiff Talks Love. And I think a person, number one, needs to know how to love themselves before they even seek love. And I think it's very important when it comes to a relationship, marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever, whatnot. Even, I guess, a friendship to a certain extent. If you truly love somebody, you have to love them where they are. So, for instance, when I was expecting both of the boys, I would just, my body would just hurt. And I would be like, can you please just rub my feet? Please just rub my feet. I know you're not a feet person. Can you please just rub my feet? But please just do it today. And he would love me where I was. But after I had the boys, I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to deal with nobody. I needed time to myself. And he gave me that space. So he loved me where I was in my pregnancy, but then he took the opportunity to again love me where I was thereafter. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you just have to meet the person where they are in order to truly love them and respect where they are to love them as well.
I didn't know that was going on, but all right.
Whatever.
Yeah, so it begins to happen naturally, mm-hmm. right? It comes organic. It's an organic thing.
Yeah.
Why are you being weird?
No, I'm not being weird. I'm just looking at you.
You want a kiss?
No. I was wondering what you were saying. I was just thinking through what Tiff was her answer.
Yeah, for sure. So, go ahead. You probably gonna want to take us somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say we've talked a lot about the pros and cons of kind of marriage and the misconceptions and the taboos. And for me, I love seeing married couples, regardless of what their reality or what their perception is. But I love being able to go to church and see all these married couples there with their families. And I feel that's what the community, that's what our culture needs to see more. They need to see marriage in order to understand that it's attainable and that it is a reality. But what do you guys see, or what do you guys feel that the community or that our culture needs to see more of marriage?
Ooh, I think especially for marriage, but really this probably would apply, I think, in general. I think our community needs to take off the layers of just all the layers of what they think we want to see from them. You know, I think we have an idea of what we think people want to see from us based on what we've seen, you know, and liked from other people. I think the community needs to see holistic approaches to relationships. Mm-hmm. I think there is a spirituality that we can never forget that's involved in how we heal in relationships. Mm-hmm. I think that there's communication that we never can forget that is involved in how we actually function in relationships. Yeah. There are roles that we play in our relationships. Right. So there's this wonderful circadian rhythm of all these things that happen in our lives, right? That we typically tend to compartmentalize, but marriages marriages are an opportunity to show us them at a snapshot. You know, in this we get to like glance at life happening in this whole world of marriage because it involves all those things that are happening, not just the individual person. It involves family, it involves spirit, it involves, you know, work, it involves it all. And it starts in, you know, the unit of marriage. Yeah. So I think the community needs to see more unadulterated relationships and how they function without all of the layers and facades that are placed on them. We need to stop romanticizing marriage. The marriage is a wonderful thing and it's very romantic, but I think most single women that I pastor have an idea of what marriage is based on a false romanticism, a false reality, ideas that just kind of like come from everywhere and all over the place, but they're not actual.
What about you, babe? What do you feel that the community needs to see more of marriage?
I mean, the community see what they see. Like you said, social media got everything messed up. So they see the facade of the love, the high. There's always a high in marriage. It's so many lows in marriage. You just got to learn how to work through the lows. And that's within a marriage, because all the lows are different lows.
Yeah.
Everybody have different issues. Everybody have go through different stuff. No marriage is the same. So I can't put my marriage on y'all marriage and marriage on the next person's marriage, because I don't know what y'all going through.
Right.
I know what we're going through. So everything's different. You just it's a lot with marriage, and you have to learn how to evolve with it and go with the punches.
I agree. So we've had like so many gems today, and I hope you guys have tuned into them and wrote them down, and I'm sure you'll go back and watch this multiple times. But my final question, and that's because this platform is all about making sure that we're breaking generational curses and building generational wealth. How do you guys see, as a married couple, that you have either broken generational curses or build generational wealth?
I think in the building of the generational wealth, and when I speak of wealth, I'm not talking about dinero or money. I'm talking about mindset.
Yes.
Because I think the mindset, wealth begins with mindset before it does with finance.
Definitely.
So for me, in the breaking of the generational curse, it's being broken by the mindset that's being instilled. So it's to have the mind renewed. Romans 12, 1 through 2. You know, so it's like mind renewal happens first, and that's a part of us instilling, you know, in our family through our marriage. Whether they be biological and or spiritual children, it's making sure that we have the proper mindset towards any and everything. So that's I mean, really, that's what it's all about, man. It's like aligning. That's what real worship is anyway. It's aligning our thoughts and our mind and our perspectives up with the will, the word, and the way of God. And until we do that, we can never really build a healthy marriage. I mean, if our mindset isn't changed and renewed, you know, according to the will, the word, and the way of God, then our marriages will be built upon a construct that is doomed and destructive. So I guess in a practical sense, to answer your question, I mean, for us, we've, like, generational curses, I've been real intentional. And I sat down and I've talked to my sons, I've talked to my children. This is this. This is the reality. This is, you know, and this is the mindset that you need to have. Christian turns 21, y'all, on Tuesday.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, all right, let's pause for a moment. You understand what I'm saying? You probably remember where you were when Christian was born. You know what I'm saying? Like, for those that know us and know this family dynamic, like, he turns 21 on Tuesday. So, like, I've had to have, and we have, those real life hard conversations. Because we're saying to him, all right, son, generational curse. All right, son, like, you are the blessing. But son, you were born outside of marriage. Like, don't do what I did. I need your mind to change. Like, I need for you to be a safe male. Don't be a hand. Y'all know what hand means. Y'all know what the acronym stands for. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, don't be that type of dude. Be a safe male. You understand what I'm saying? Don't go around pollinating every flower. You understand what I'm saying? Like, let's be safe. So it's that kind of conversation. And it's not that my dad didn't have those conversations, but I'm like not sugarcoating them. Like, daddy gave me those conversations over the pulpit. That's how he gave us those conversations. But I'm giving my son that conversation just like we're having this conversation. Because that's the reality. And I'm saying, son, I need you to change your mindset. So in a practical sense, it's changing your mind and not allowing your mind to be formed and forged and shaped by the ways of the world. Social media.
That's true. Wow.
You know, culture, or what the community is saying be done.
Wow. That was good.
So
That was good.
community need to mind.
That was good. That was good.
Community need to know.
Okay, let me do a couple of shout outs so we can wrap up this live. I'm sorry you guys, we've definitely, it's got good. I'm sorry, it
We
got
on
good.
time.
So I see that Sherelle has come in. Hey Sherelle, thank you for joining, girl. I see that the selfish single comment is saying seeing married couples isn't about perception, it's about candidness.
Candidness?
Yeah,
Candidness?
yeah. I see Audacious Hair Studio